We are live here, and welcome to Whiskey Thursday, the first episode here. And I'm here with Austin and Matt Kramer, and our special guest here, Ravi, who's, from what I understand, has been crushing it in the real estate niche. And welcome, Ravi. Happy to have you here. And I think before we get started, maybe we should, since it is Whiskey Thursday, first off, I want to propose a toast to the three guys here with me on this live, and then everybody else in this group that is supporting us. Cheers to everybody. And unfortunately, I don't have whiskey, but yeah, I know, I suck. I just didn't have any.
Literally your group.
Yeah. Cheers, guys. Thanks for coming on.
Cheers.
So basically, Ravi, thanks a lot for popping on here and being, our first guest of this show that we're going to do every Thursday, trying to bring somebody on, anybody on that wants to come hang out with us and drink some booze and smoke some cigars. So it didn't seem to be too hard to get you on this show.
No, it really wasn't. I promise you. I was going to do it anyway. So
yeah. So Ravi, why don't unless hey, Matt, Austin, you guys want to add anything to that before we go ahead and get started?
I'm sure I will, but let's get another drink or two in me and we'll find out. Okay. Oh, it's not a blunt, it's a black and mild. Because they're already asked.
So Ravi, why don't you go ahead, just give us a little bit, maybe some background on where you're coming from, what you were doing before, what you're doing now. I saw a recent interview, and it seems like you're doing quite well in this niche. I think you've figured out some things that a lot of other marketers are struggling with, especially on the client acquisition side of things, and on the retention side as well. So I'll just leave it to you, and take it away.
Awesome. Well, thank you guys very much for having me. I have incredible respect for all three of you guys. I think I've probably paid all three of you guys for one thing at one point. You guys have taught me a good bit, to be honest with you. So
not me yet, but we'll get there.
Not Matt yet, but now he's going to ask me after this live. But
I'll come up with a product. Give me
anyway. So yeah, you guys are absolutely killers in this space. So for you guys to say that to me, I appreciate that very much. So yeah, very, very quick backstory. Went to Florida State University, was on the track for law school. Law school was where I was going my entire life. Like, that was what I planned on doing. I graduated from Florida State. Then I studied for the LSAT for an entire year, which is like the law school admission test. The goal was to go to Yale or Harvard. And so you have to pretty much take a year off to do that. Ended up near the end of taking the test, I was working at a law firm in Atlanta. And my mentor, pretty much right before I took the test, literally a week before, was like, "You shouldn't be a lawyer." He's like, "I hate my life. I make over $400,000 a year, but I never got to spend any of it." And he kind of got my wheels turning. So long story short, took the test. The score was good for 5 years, much against my entire family's wishes. I kept on getting hit in those Tai Lopez SMMA course ads, and I was like, man, I want to make $10,000 online. So bought the course, took it, started getting clients at that point, and that was about November of last year. It was definitely a rough first few months for me. Trying to find a niche, trying to get clients, trying to get the sales process down. I think that's probably the number one thing for anybody. I think a lot of people can deliver results. I think in my experience with my students and people I talk to, I think the hardest thing is getting people to be able to give results too. So I kind of focused on that really heavily, joined Grant Cardone University, became actually a seller of that program, and absolutely loved that. I recommend that to everybody. And it was at that point that I kind of moved back down to Florida, got into a real estate market, because where I am in Florida is all real estate, and my results started taking off. I started getting referrals. I started doing my outreach, and it's taken off pretty wildly from there.
That's great, man. Awesome. Are you just working in the real estate niche, or what have you been focusing on?
So started off in the medical spa plastic surgery niche, then kind of dabbled in that a little bit. It was really hard to reach, I'm sure as everyone knows, to reach the decision makers in any kind of medical field. And so I kind of stagnated at about 4 or 5 clients then, and went to gyms, dentists, the same Dan Henry, what everybody else says all the time. I did all those, and everyone was like, stay away from real estate, stay away from real estate. And I was like, well, if everyone's saying stay away from real estate, that just means that, nobody's really attacking them if you can deliver results. And I actually got Shane's email series. We had a few calls. I've talked to Austin and Matt and trying to incorporate a few different tactics and started really getting some serious results. And so although I didn't mean to become real estate lead gen, it just kind of fell in my lap, to be honest with you. So about 80% of my clients right now are real estate.
So, I find that interesting that everybody told you stay away from real estate. And what do you do? And I think a lot of us here, it's the same sort of thing where, everybody's been, I know when I first got started, I saw the posts and it's like, just don't do real estate. It's too hard. You keep seeing people, getting real estate clients and not getting results and struggling with that. And also, the onboarding of real estate is a tough one as well. And I think everybody's gone through that. I know I've gone through it. I'm sure, Matt's gone through it as well. We've talked a lot about it. Austin hasn't. He just keeps taking clients from everybody, but
from everybody.
Yeah.
Wait, there's something backstory. Check my clients. Huh?
Yeah, check your clients. Austin's coming.
What's funny? While you're on that note, actually, one of my clients. Well, it's technically I'm helping a friend out with him, but I saw one of Ravi's video. It wasn't his video, but it's the same. Someone else in the group sent that same walkthrough video thing, audit thing to one of his.
To your client?
Yeah, he sent it to the client. I was like, dang, small world.
Oh, wow. That is so funny. Oh, my God. That's hilarious. I mean, Matt, you should call him out in this thing. I wonder who that was. That's so funny. Good for him for taking my advice, though. I'll say that. Oh, my God. That's hilarious.
I don't know if he's in this group. He's definitely in some of the group. Yeah.
That is so funny. That is a small world, man. And that's one of the things I was nervous about. I was like, oh, there's 200 million businesses. What are the chances I'm going to overlap with somebody else? And look at that. That happened exactly to you.
Oh, yeah.
It's crazy too. I know that, when I start friend requesting, broker owners and agents and stuff like that, that's when you start realizing how small the world is. It's, it's like, oh, okay, Austin knows this guy, Matt knows this guy.
Yeah, exactly.
We all have the same friends now on Facebook.
Everybody runs in the same circles. Yeah, it's wild. And it's weird, talking to Matt yesterday, and then I'm talking to a few other real estate guys, and technically speaking, we're kind of competition for each other in some of the aspects, but I've just had my closest relationships are with people that are doing the same thing, real estate kind of marketing as well. So I don't know, you guys are just honestly genuine good guys. The other guys I talk to are all really good. So I think there's enough business to go around, to be honest with you. I think it was very ironic that happened to Austin. I don't think that'll happen to many other people, but
I don't care. I like it.
Yeah, it's a competition. Exactly.
With as many clients as Austin has, it's bound to happen, right?
Yeah, he's exactly it.
So I just want to quickly say hi to a couple people here who have joined us. Alex, how's it going, buddy? Michael Grant, Kenneth's online here, and then a few people. Dan says, Matt, sorry I haven't answered you yet. So.
Right on.
Damn, Dan, you're really fucking that one up.
Daniel.
So everybody's telling you don't get into the real estate niche. I think everybody's told us to do the same thing, but we decide to go after them. And is that because you like the challenge, or is it?
It's a few things. Yeah, I like pain. Yeah, and dealing with real estate agents. I don't know how many people in your group are real estate agents, but I don't know. For me personally, I don't know if they have so much other stuff going on, but some of the real estate agents I've worked with in the past, not necessarily my current clients, are pretty lazy, to be honest with you. They just don't follow up. I'm sending them very hot leads, and I kind of circumvented that whole process. So I don't you have to be. They can trip and fall into money right now. Is pretty much how I have them set up. But so yeah, like you said, I like to challenge, and the fact that because nobody else was wanting to do it, I was like, well, shit, let me learn how to do it and be one of the only people that's mastered it and can do it well. And so that kind of motivated me. And then also, like I said, I live in a part of Florida that, the turnover rate here on homes is absolutely insane, and people are buying homes like crazy down here. And so I had not even focused on real estate agents, and people just started giving me money, like, do this for me. And I'm like, all right, I'll figure it out. Not Russell Brunson, but Richard Branson, owner of Virginia Airlines, said that, if someone offers you a job, you'd never say no, just say yes and then figure out how to do it later. That's been pretty much the motto of how I run my business. I hope none of my clients are on here, but that's the motto of pretty much how I run my business. So.
Yeah, I think this group is probably mostly realtors right now, or marketers right now. I think there's a few realtors in here, which is cool. Everybody's welcome in the group. I think the group's really focused on trying to help anybody that's doing digital marketing for real estate, and because I think and I think we all agree that the conversion side of it is obviously the most important, but also the hardest.
Sure.
I think that's. If people can start focusing more on the conversion side as opposed to generating cheap leads, then you're going to start seeing results and start retaining your clients a little bit more, right? So
100%. Yeah, I agree. And it's also not even just, it's the conversion side, but I think it's upfront. You have to be very honest with your client, and you have to tell them, like, listen, I'm not going to shorten a real estate life cycle. You know what I mean? Typically, it could be 3, 6, 8, 12 months after you get the lead. So I just think that in the game that we're in, and the other people that are in this group, if you're thinking about getting in it, while it's obviously great, you can get an ROI first month, and I usually do. You just need to prepare for the worst and tell your client, like, look, I want a minimum 3 months out of you. You know what I mean? If I don't get something in 3 months, we can talk then, and you can fire me at that point. But give it some time, because I'm not going to promise you. Like, I deal a lot in luxury real estate, like $1 million+ homes. And so, I'm like, listen, it takes some time. But that being said, I literally texted Matt today. One of my clients, literally 5 days after launching their campaign, we got a $3 million buyer lead in cash buyer lead, $3 million today. And literally my client texted me yesterday, hey, man, like, kind of slow in the beginning, right? And I was like, just give it some time, man. And then he texted me today, LOL, sorry. That's all he texted me back. So he couldn't be happier right now. But you just have to let them know from the beginning, like, listen, don't expect it in 30. You weren't able to get a lead and sell it in 30 days. Like, don't expect me to be able to do it. I'm just going to increase the amount of potential buyers that you have, if that makes sense.
Yeah, and I think Matt explains this well. Like, when you talk about the fact that you're trying to find those 1 or 2 buyers, and those are the ones you need to focus on, and just separate the rest of them, and stop focusing on the fact that you're getting a bunch of crap leads, and focus on the 1 or 2 good leads that you are getting, and then move on and keep doing that every single month, and eventually something starts to come through. And like you said, you picked up a $3 million cash buyer. I've seen it as well, where we picked up for one client, we picked up a buyer that was $950,000 home. He was from Brazil, looking for Florida, and it was just, is it luck? Maybe it is, but the reality is that that's what we're trying to do, is we're trying to find those those 1 or 2 buyers out of 100 leads.
Exactly.
Right?
Well, and that's just it. You got to tell them, like, you are literally looking or expecting to have 97 or 98 leads that are not going to close.
Shit leads.
Yeah. I mean, in the immediate future. Over time, and I always say that the time period that you should measure is actually 18 months. Over time, you're probably going to push close to 8%, right? But that's a long time for people to pay money and not see.
So wait, you have to seriously, that is why I think sales is so important. I think it was John Loger, someone said, I don't run an advertising agency, I run a sales business that just does advertising. And that's why I think that sales is so critical in this, because you need to tell them, especially in real estate. Like, these other ones, like medical spas, I was getting ROI immediately, within 15 days. But this, it's like, you're in for the long haul, and you just got to let them know that from the beginning. And having a great follow-up system as well, I think, is absolutely critical. Like, I use Shane's 180-day email series. I'm going to put a little plug in for that right now.
Thanks, buddy.
That's fantastic. You got it. That's fantastic. I use that
I'll
for
put my
clients.
affiliate link in the comments.
And I've used that for a lot of my clients, and it works out really well as well. So I think nurturing as well, because you'd be surprised, like maybe you don't have someone bite the first 30 days, but if you're nurturing them, and then next thing you know, 45 days in, they're like, yeah, actually I'm looking to buy a $250,000 home. Boom, and that's something that you bought last month, and so that'll make your nut for the month. So
I mean that's $7,500. That's $7,500. As a realtor, I can do commission math really fast.
Really
any realtor, one of our superpowers when you become a real estate agent is you become really good at finding out what 3% of any number is.
What 3%? Oh my God, that's hilarious.
So, Ravi, I know that.
And let's just put it out there. If you guys are watching live, make sure to put #live in the comments. If you're watching the replay, #replay in the comments, and let us know what you're drinking if you're watching and where you're coming from.
Yeah.
Get those comments bumping up.
And how drunk you are.
Yeah, how drunk you are. Scale 1 to 10
on a Thursday night.
And if you think Matt's actually smoking weed, or if it's a black and mild.
So, Ravi, tell us a bit about, because I know one of the big challenges for new marketers, and probably the biggest challenge when they're just starting out, is on the customer acquisition side, and it was a big challenge for me. I don't know for the other guys here. I know I struggled for a few months, trying to get people on and trying to figure out what they actually needed and what they wanted. Why don't you touch a little bit about that and where, what you've been able to do? Because I think you've been pretty successful with this, and you've also been pretty successful with landing some decent sized retainers.
Yeah, as you can tell, I'm dropping all these quotes. I read a lot. I invest an insane amount in self-help, self-knowledge, self-development, which I'm sure everyone here does as well. But so yeah, I mean, I'll be honest, I'm not going to sugarcoat it. When I started in November of last year, I was serving tables. You know what I mean? I was going to be this lawyer at this Harvard firm, and I go from there to serving tables and doing this on the side. So it was hard in the beginning. I mean, it was depressing, to be honest with you. I had one client for probably 4 months, and so that's $2,000 a month for me. And, it's hard. Plus, I'm waiting tables on the side. So I wasn't like I started in this and I just made all this money right off the bat. It's a struggle in the beginning. And I know you hear all these stories like $10,000 in 30 days. And while that is possible, like I did that. It was 30 days I made $10,000, but the first 6 months I made shit. So I know that you kind of see everyone's highlights and wins like all the time. All you see is people making this. And just keep in mind, like you have to pay your dues. And there's really no big shortcut to it. There's obviously you can put in a lot of work ethic, but there's no real shortcut to making that much money. But yeah, obviously client acquisition is probably the biggest thing that people struggle with as a new marketer. For me, a little plug for Jeff Miller as well. I go to a lot of networking events. You know what I mean? I think that's free marketing. I think people get lost in like the whole tech side of it. Like, oh, let me build a funnel as a case study. Let me run ads to it. Let me start spending money on ads, and they have one client right now. I think that boots on the ground, belly to belly business, like half of my clients are people that I can drive in an hour and go see them. And I got them because exactly, like literally. And I went to networking conferences. Every time I go to a restaurant, if I see someone sitting next to me, I'll strike up a conversation with them. You guys have to remember that you probably have one of the most valuable assets in any business in the world, and that is you're able to increase sales for another business. And so if you're able to build rapport with somebody in the beginning and just talk about them, understands their fears, wants, desires, like literally they're giving you all the ammunition you need. And then at the end of it, when they say, God, I wish I haven't sold a home in 30 days, you know what I mean? Then at the end of it, you just plug in, oh, that's awesome. He's like, what do you do? I was like, oh, I actually help people sell homes in 30 days. And they're like, oh, yeah, take my money, please. So I think that's probably the biggest part, to be honest with you, is like understanding what people want and then just putting boots on the ground and going out there and literally going to networking events, talking to people, meeting people. And that's the only way you'll do it. Like Grant Cardone says, you should have 10 working deals for every one you want. So at least be talking to 10, 15 people every single day. I do an outreach of some kind to about 15 people every single day, personally.
Wow.
And that's new people or follow-ups, or what are you? It
can be both, right? So I try to sprinkle some new people, but there's a really great chart that I just posted in one of my groups, and it was like, I think it's like 75% of salespeople don't follow up after the third touch point. And so if you're the person, I was just telling Matt this yesterday, like, I follow up almost 10 times in 5 days. So if you're the person that does that, like, you're going to be the one that separates. You obviously care about this person's business, and that's how you kind of separate yourself from these people that are like, send like a text message or an email and then they don't hear anything, or it's all automated and then they don't do anything. This is something a little more personal. So it's either follow-ups or cold outreaches, but in my experience, the follow-ups are where I'm closing the most deals.
Yeah, and I can attest to that because as an agent previously, my follow-up system, I did it a little different than most people because most people would set up like days that they had to follow up. They follow up with this person on Monday or this person on Wednesday of next week or whatever. So I set it up. I had 12 months, and each month I had a category for a week 1 through 4, right? And so my week 1 people, like if I didn't reach them, they were in week 1 the next day, right? So all of week 1 of whatever month I'm in, I called them 5 days in a row. And then at the end of that week, if I hadn't reached them, they go to week 2, right? And so they just keep moving along until I've hit them, I think it was like 21 times, and then I would drop them out. But that's, that was on a power dial.
Makes sense. That's the way to do it.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's the difference. And like, you might think, and I know people's like, I don't want to bother people. You don't realize if you can deliver results, even if you don't know if you can deliver it yet, just understand you're helping these people out. They just don't know it yet. And that's kind of the mindset you have to get in. If you're always afraid that you're going to be bothering somebody, you're never going to grow your agency. You're literally never going to grow. You have to think like, some of my clients are people that told me to fuck off. Like after I reached out to them so many times, then I posted a result of something that I did, and they reached back to me like, hey, like, let's meet tomorrow, or let's hop on a call tomorrow. You know what I mean? So they just they've never experienced it. Their mindset is what it's always been. So they don't understand what you can bring to the table. So never let that be a reason why you don't want to follow because you think you're going to bother somebody or you're going to burn bridges. Like, no, be respectful, add value, but always follow up.
Yep.
For sure. Yeah, absolutely. Hey guys, I'm just going to move here because I'm being too loud. So Austin, I'm going to let you host.
Awesome. You're going to let me host. I like that.
Don't sound so sad. Don't sound so sad, Austin.
Yeah.
I'll be right back, guys. I'll be right back.
Yeah. Okay. All right, man. Yeah, so Ravi, yeah, go ahead. Take it. Let's everyone down. Let's pour swig. Well, Ravi, why don't you tell me what are you drinking?
I am drinking some Maker's Mark whiskey, which is actually my girlfriend's because I don't drink whiskey. So I'm a gin guy myself.
Right.
Yeah, so I asked her to bring it. And I know what you're thinking. Wow, your girlfriend drinks whiskey and you don't. But you guys can go fuck yourselves because I'm a gin guy. But whiskey, yeah, I'm sorry. I'm drinking a little bit. Maybe I shouldn't. I don't know what the word violations I'm doing in your group or not, but I figure whiskey Thursdays, anything can go, right? Whiskey Thursdays.
Yeah, I think it's uncensored.
Okay, cool.
What do you think?
Fireball.
Wow.
Oh my God! You're a grown adult. You're an adult. Why are you drinking Fireball?
Because I grew up out in the country, man. Fireball's really bad. It's either Fireball or Johnny Walker, and I was feeling Fireball tonight.
Just the sugar in Fireball hurts me, though. What are you drinking, Austin?
Got the classic SoCo.
SoCo. Oh my God, that was my SoCo and Sprite was my high school drink, 100%, dude. That was like my go-to. I haven't had SoCo in 7 years. Oh my God, how's it taste?
Tastes just like you think it would, man.
Sadness.
Because I can't tell the.
And again, if people are watching live, hashtag live and let us know what you're drinking.
Yeah, ask us some questions. I want to answer some questions.
Yeah, Ravi, so let's talk about it.
Ready?
Tell us about your average retainer, your lowest retainer, your highest retainer.
Yeah, so that's another thing that I think people make a huge mistake on. There's someone that I talked to yesterday, I'm not going to say who, that I was talking to them, and they were just grossly undercharging for the services they were providing. We're literally providing the exact same service, and they were charging a sixth of what I was charging. And they might even be better at it than I am, to be honest with you. So I think that people.
All right, well, now you can say
really,
it is.
all right, it was Matt. Matt was charging so much less than I was, and he is an expert in this niche. And I was like, when he told me what he was charging versus what I was charging, I just really couldn't believe it, to be honest with you, because he was giving me so much value on some things that I had never known about that I was like so ready to incorporate. And then I told him how much I was charging, and he was like, what? And he was like, and I asked him how much he was charging, and I was like, what? So, yeah, just to give you guys some.
You're not about to like be chopped up by ISIS. I just see like
you do look like you're in a murder. You look like
Shane's about to say,
I know, eh? It's like
I was so worried right there for a second. It's like a scene of Dexter.
please send help. I'm sorry for my content.
Oh man, that was awful. Bad taste. Anyway, so I started like everybody else. Ty Lopez tells you like $1,000 a month, $1,000 ad budget, and that's where kind of I started. Then I started getting little results, and then I met a realtor who did around like 18, 20 million, and it had only been May, and I was like, well, she can afford more than $1,000, so I actually pitched her at $3,000. I was like, you know what, fuck it. Like I read all these books about people like. You don't want to stay at one price at the very beginning and then suddenly change it, 2 years in, because people aren't going to be used to it. You need to like do it very quickly, and you need to be confident in yourself. So I went from 1,000 to 3,000 within a matter of 2 months, and I retain everybody at $3,000 a month moving forward. So, and I know everyone's like, oh my God, like how does a realtor afford that? And maybe they don't. But in me personally, I'd rather have 6 or 7 clients at $3,000 a month that I know well that I can deliver results for, than 14 clients at $1,000 a month, because profit margin's higher for me, stress levels are lower for me. So that's kind of where my head's at. And obviously people have price points that work for them and work better for them. I'm actually going to start incorporating, I think, setup fees. I'm in Kat Howell's Facebook ads that convert, and she talks about creating setup fees. So it's like $3,000 a month plus $1,000 or $500 for a setup fee. There's also John Loger talks about creating cost per proposals. So like when someone says, send me a proposal, you're putting work into that. So charge them $300 for the proposal. And the idea behind that is if someone spends a little bit of money with you, psychologically speaking, just like I'm sure we all know in marketing, they're more likely to spend more money with you. So I've even been dabbling around with charging people for a proposal. If you're an entrepreneur, like you should find any way you can to make money. And that's kind of where I'm at right now. So, and I don't claim I know more than anybody else, but there's people that know more than me that are charging less. But but you should.
Is that Matt?
People are undercharging. Yeah. People are undercharging like crazy for the services they provide.
And that's the truth. I mean, you're bringing results, right? I mean, tell us a little bit about some of your results that your clients are getting. Like, and you said that lead came in for $3 million, which I think you understated that, because it came in for $3 million, but you showed me, or you sent me the text. They set an appointment on that lead. It wasn't just a lead that came in for $3 million. They set an appointment on that.
Yeah, it's that happened, like I said, literally a day after he was calling me, complaining to me. But yeah, $3 million cash buyer, appointment scheduled for the guy. They talk tomorrow. And then she's coming to visit in November to actually because I live in kind of a touristy area, to actually be taking on a showing of a few homes. So that's $90,000 in commissions for my client. So he's ecstatic right now. So that's an easy win. First time home buyers. I mean, I don't know what the number I've done this year, but I average 1 closing a month for my clients. And like I said, sometimes if it's luxury home, I have a client that I haven't gotten any closings for 4 months right now. I'm just going to be 100% transparent with you guys. I've not gotten one closing for 4 months. 2 of those months their follow-up was ass. I secret shopped them, and they didn't call my employee back for 2 weeks. So their follow-up was ass. So that was kind of why the first 2 months were gone. And then I did actually a training. I upsold them on an in-person training at their brokerage, and did a training for them there, and their follow-up has increased very much so. And now we have a lot in the pipeline. But once again, I told the expectations from the beginning. So 4 months at $3,000 I've been doing with these people, and we haven't closed a home yet. But you just sell yourself like you're filling the pipeline. They've never had anything like it. there was like a 6-day period where they didn't know if they wanted to move in. And she literally told me, she was like, I missed my email like ringing off the fucking hook because I had leads coming in and in and in and in. So people kind of get addicted to that kind of lead gen stuff. So, but yeah, obviously you have to be able to deliver results, be charging as much as that. But
yeah, for sure. And I think that let's go back to setting the expectations, because I think for people that are, especially marketers that are just starting out, I think that's something that I know, when I was doing this, when I first started.
Hang on, I'll be right back, guys.
Okay, I see you.
taking a break.
I think that, let's just get him out of there. I think one of the big, actually, let me put him back. It looks better like that. I think one of the big challenges that I ran into was that I just wasn't setting the proper expectations with my clients. And, this whole idea of generating leads through Facebook, people think it's, it's this gold mine of leads that are coming in and we're going to be able to start closing business, next week or the week after. And, it just doesn't happen like that. The other thing too is just setting the expectations on the lead quality, which is another big one. Not every lead that's going to come in is going to be a good lead, and you're going to need to follow up, and you're going to have to, you're going to have to make those phone calls and all that stuff. I think that's really, really important for anybody that's, getting started in this game, that setting the right expectations to the client on the lead quality, on how many leads are going to be coming in, what you're going to be able to convert, and how far out those are is really, really important.
And it's not even just real estate, right? Any internet leads, like you're averaging, I mean, everyone's going to tell you it's 50% or whatever, but like, especially real estate, it's like 1 to 5%. And so you should be setting the expectations like, yeah, we're going to get 100 leads, but it's not going to be 100 people buying homes. And also the other thing is, the reason why I also charge a little more is I incorporate sales training in it as well. So once they schedule an appointment, what do you say on like they've never gotten a lead from Facebook before, which is a completely cold lead. They've been dealing with referrals their whole life. So in my fee, I'm also including essentially like, here's a sales training. Like, this is what you do when they get on the phone. This is what you do if they have cold feet, or if they're looking for one and you want to upsell them on something else. Like, so you're not just selling the lead generation. If you're just doing lead generation, like, yeah, maybe that's $1,000 a month, but you're selling an entire, essentially a consultation package where you're like, listen, I'm going to be able to show you what my previous realtors have done, the success that they've had. This is the exact scripts they've used, and this is the exact methodology they use. This is how they followed up, and this is how they're able to do it. So you're not only giving them the leads, you're giving them the tools and the ability to close them. And then people that have leads coming in from Zillow and all these other things, they're going to start applying it to the other lead gen sources that they have as well. So yeah, setting the expectations that the leads aren't going to be great at the beginning, but listen, included in my package is a full sales training where I'm actually going to show you A to Z what to do when one of these new leads that you've never had before picks up the phone and calls you. What's exactly you're supposed to say, and how are you going to get them from that $150,000 home into possibly something at $250,000.
Yeah, and that's a really good point that you're making, Ravi, is that internet generated leads are not the same type of leads that most realtors are used to. And I think the fact that you're providing the training at the beginning and you're showing them how to convert those leads, to book appointments, to get them in the office, or to book those listing appointments, that's a huge, and not only is that helping you retain your clients, but that's big for the, for your clients in terms of value. Yeah.
People are doing it though. People are already doing it. You just don't realize it. You're just not putting a number behind it. I guarantee you, if you guys are doing ads for real estate, they probably never done it. So you're like, well, you should really say this, or you've taken a course where they tell you what to say. That you should put a number behind that and say, this is what I'm doing for you. It's valued at this, but I'm going to include it in this package, because they need to know what to do, and you're probably already doing it. You just don't even realize it. So think of that in your mind. Like, break down exactly what you're doing step by step for them, and then you can put numbers behind those, and then you can start, charging people more. Because if you just say, yeah, I do lead generation, it's $3,000, they're going to be like, all right, well, you can go fuck off. But if you say, well, actually, I'm literally doing, like, I'm nurturing these leads for you. I'm giving you an entire sales script. We're going to do a training at your brokerage. You know what I mean? I'm going to actually get the leads in. You're going to have a whole database of potential clients on the road. If you break it like that and give numbers behind them, then, you hit them with that Russell Brunson. You know what I mean? Like, it's going to be $30,000, but because I like you, I'm going to do it for $3,000.
Yeah, it's funny that you say that. Like, when I first started getting into this, I guess the whole idea behind it was, hey, charge your clients $1,500 a month, and I think this is just something that some of the big gurus out there I think they've sort of made a mistake here in sort of training us and thinking that all we do is lead generation, and then there's guys like you, or Facebook ads, right? Yeah. And then there's guys like you, Ravi, and myself that where we're providing a lot more value. Where we need to get out of that mindset. And it's not that you're not providing Facebook ads or lead generation. You're helping clients grow their business, and you're there providing whatever services you need to provide in order for them to get results. And I think it's really important for marketers to understand that.
And if you've ever worked with a small business owner, when you come on and they're paying you $1,500, $2,000 a month, that's a lot of their money. And they're going to be looking to you for not just marketing things. Like, I have them ask me questions about how should they upsell an offer when people walk in the door, like what they should do for their group class schedule, things like that. So if you're dealing with a small business and they're not making a whole lot of money, which is the typical small business in the United States, they're paying you $2,000 a month. You're really providing more than just lead gen, because they're going to be calling you. I have clients, and I know people say to separate you from your business. Everyone has their own way to do it. But I have clients calling me at 8 o'clock at night, and I'm there for them. I give them 24/7 support. So, you know what I mean? I'm not cold. You build relationships. People do business with people and not with businesses. And so that's kind of how I personally view it. And that's why I think I'm able to charge a little more than other people. But you are never, ever, nobody doing this game is just providing leads, because you wouldn't have a job. No one would hire you for that. You are doing so much more. And like you had kind of said, there are some people and gurus in this space who are just like, yeah, charge $1,500 a month. But if you want to get to $30,000 a month, $40,000 a month, $50,000 a month, to do that at $1,500 a pop, that's fucking hard. You know what I mean? That's, Matt's the math guy here. I don't want to do it, but that's a lot of clients that you got to be having, and you got to be retaining, and then you got to be reaching out again and get the other one. I don't know what 3% of that is, but you got to be figuring out what it is.
If you give it to me, I bet I could get it.
But my point being, if you want a comfortable lifestyle with high profit margins, and you're delivering the results, you need to be charging more. $1,500 is not. I don't have anybody of my clients at $1,500 anymore.
And David asked, I don't know if you guys got to it. David was asking, on a $3,000 retainer, how much were they paying in ad spend, and was it included? What did that look like?
So for me personally, I take everything in house. So I take the ad spend in house. So I typically, I'll do about $1,000 in advertising spend. So it's $2,000.
For those who don't know, what does that mean?
Taking it in-house means I tell them, listen, instead of trying to set up, hey, it's going to be $2,000, and then, but give me $1,000 extra on your credit card, and then Facebook charges them sporadically across the month, $20 here, $50 here. I actually take it all in-house, meaning listen, you sign this paper right here, you give me your credit card, I'm going to charge you $3,000 one time, $1,000 of that I'm paying, it's going to go straight to Mark Zuckerberg, it's going to his pocket, but just to make it easier on both of us, I'm going to pay it. And what that does for me, guys, is a few things. But the biggest thing for me is say you're not able to deliver results with that $1,000 advertising budget. Instead of having to go to your client and be like, listen, I wasn't able to do that. Can I have a little more money for the ad budget? I give myself enough wiggle room there. Since everyone's doing $1,500, so let's say I burned through the $1,000, we still don't have results yet. I'll even go that $500 extra to get them that result, and they have no idea. They don't know that I did that. You know what I mean? Because I was maybe split testing or something like that. So that kind of keeps it so they don't know how much money I've spent on the ads, and I can dip into my own profits to do it, which everyone might not want to do that. But realistically, if you want to think of your lifetime value of a client, you know what I mean? What's $500 when you can bill them for 4 more months at $3,000? So,
yeah.
Makes sense.
No, that's a good point. Yeah. And so how are you setting that up? Are you just setting up multiple ad accounts for those guys? And
I was talking to Matt about that yesterday. I don't believe ever in I'm gonna have to get my computer charger in a second. I don't believe ever in using their ad accounts. You hear the horror stories about you putting 30 hours in to set up a whole lead gen campaign. They use you for a month. Then they're like, oh, thanks. No, we got it now. And they just steal all of your ideas. 100% you should take everything inside your own ad account and do everything on your own. That way you have complete control over everything. And I do transparency. If they ask me something like, what's our targeting, what's our ad look like, I'm going to show them that. I'm not lying or anything to anybody, but these are your cards, these are your skills. And so you don't want to just give it away and then they can do it on their own. But like some small businesses, they're not going to have the time to do it. But like some realtors, they probably will have the time, to be honest with you. So I'd say take it in-house, take it in your own ad campaign. That way they don't know the secret sauce. They don't know how you're doing it. And you can have full control over everything without having them look over your shoulder every 2 minutes.
And which page are you running it from?
Excuse me?
Which page are you actually running that from?
Say that again? What am I running that from?
Page? Which page are you running that from?
Oh, yes. Are you asking me which client of mine am I running those from?
No, I'm saying, which page are you running the ads from? The client's page?
Oh, I'm running it from theirs.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay. I thought you were about to go try to hack my clients. I was like, you stay away. Man.
I thought you said there's enough for everybody. Come on.
So listen,
yeah, don't take me. I'm not. Austin's already coming after him. I'm not trying to.
I'm already sending it right now.
He's typing right now. He's sending a video of him now. He's like, look at what Ravi's saying to them.
Yeah.
I'm running it from typically their page.
Right.
And, sometimes they don't have a page, and we'll just create one and run it. I do think there's some truth behind the fact that if Facebook might prioritize your page if you have more likes as far as the ad's concerned. I have seen that before. Whether that's true or not, you take it or leave it. But, yeah, I use their account every time. I know some people make it like pages and use all their clients on one. Like maybe that's a thing. But I'm trying to promote their brand, especially if you go to a brokerage in the area that has a lot of brand recognition already. You can leverage that to lower your lead costs.
Makes sense. David says funnel hacking free zone.
Well, the secret behind this, the secret behind this show is that we get our guests drunk enough so they put up their client list so we can
They give everything.
Hey, you think they're getting how many closings? I don't buy it. Give me their number.
Robbie's only getting you one closing a month. I'm gonna get you.
I'm gonna get you two. Look at Ravi called you a dumbass. Look at this. Look at this live, Ravi.
I'm only spending 1,000 on that. We're spending 1,500 on that.
Some people do that. Some people do that though. It's crazy, dude. I had so many people going on my website and hacking my VSL stuff like that. I turned it all off. Like after I went on the live with Andrew, unfortunately, I think that this space is full of a lot of freeloaders, in my opinion. I'll pay somebody for knowledge and I value it more. And I see so many people messaging me. I saw that, Austin. So many people messaging me, asking me for free stuff. Yeah, it blows my mind. I'm like, dude, pay for it. You're not going to value it. Even my close friends that I grew up with, if they ask me for something, I'm like, yeah, dude, it's $250 an hour. I'll tell you anything. And they'll value it. They spend $250 for you, they'll value it. Yeah. And so if you want to respect somebody, don't ever come to me asking for something for free unless you're about to give me some fucking crazy value. If you want something from me, it's going to cost you money. And I gave it away too much in the beginning, to be honest with you. I think that's a big mistake a lot of people do. They do a lot of stuff for free. And so that's word of warning. Don't come messaging me asking me for free stuff, please.
No, and it's true. I mean, there's a lot of people out there looking, for that free stuff, and a lot of lazy people. It's kind of. I mean, it's just.
And I'm happy to help. All of us are happy to help.
Yeah.
Yeah, and you're creating this group to help. I'm understanding what help is, but if you're like, hey, tell me this exact ad and landing page and your follow-up series, you know what I mean? I'm like, listen, I paid thousands of dollars to learn this kind of stuff, and you just want me to give it to you for free? It's just not how it works. And I don't want to go on a rant here. I love helping people. I'm just saying. Maybe it's the whiskey speaking. I'm a nice guy, I promise.
No, but it's true. It's true. I mean, a lot of people are out there looking to hop on a phone call, looking to hop on a Zoom call, a Skype call, whatever, and get all this information for 100% free, right? And
what's crazy?
I see it.
Sorry, I was just gonna say it's really I don't know when you started this, Ravi, but when I first started in this space, there was nothing on real estate. You could not find ad copy or somebody posting something to show you what an ad looked like or what targeting should be or anything like that, or even these groups. There was nothing, and now all you have to do is go look. Search Facebook, man.
Search YouTube. Yeah. fuck, leave me alone. No, but you're right. And Shane was probably one of the first people I started looking at too, like as an influencer in here. Everyone kept on in a few groups I was in referencing him. So I reached out to him, and guess what I did? I paid him money. I literally bought something from him, and that got me on a phone call with him. And like I was able to ask him some questions then, and I think he gave me some good value after I had bought something from him. But like at least give me some money. And that's just, it's not a rant. It's like, you know, people respect you if you pay them money because they spend thousands of dollars and it's their time you're asking for, and you're going to respect it more. It's psychologically speaking. Like I had a business coach of mine that like we were exchanging services. I was working for him for free. He was doing me business coach stuff, and it just fell apart because I really wasn't appreciating what he was doing. Like I just wasn't. I was just like, okay, this isn't important because I wasn't paying for it, so I wasn't taking it seriously. And I wasn't doing the practices. So you know, don't buy everything you see. But if there's someone that you trust and they've been giving you a lot of knowledge and like you know that they're doing well, reach out to them, and instead of saying, hey, what is this? Just be like, hey, what do you charge for an hour of your time? I promise you'll see a better result of people responding back to you. And I promise you they'll give you more than you will, like you'd learn it's paying $1,000 for a course. I think one-on-one mentorship is super, super valuable.
Absolutely. Yeah. And I think like I've done a lot of like, you know, those 1 hour coaching calls, and hang on, Austin disappeared. There he is. And it's amazing how much value you can get out of that, you know, and all you need is those small nuggets, right? And those, you know, one of those small nuggets that you get on a $250 or $300 call can really change your campaigns. It can, you know, lower your lead
100%.
cost. It can, all that stuff, right? It's huge. So definitely, you know.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, literally make the difference. Like you spend $250 to get a call, and he can give you something that gets you a client for $3,000, or that keeps that client for another month for another $2,000. So just like we're asking these businesses to invest in us, like literally it's the exact same thing.
Yeah, for sure. So, so
I mean,
tell
when
us.
I was paying my coach as a real estate agent, right? So I wanted to get to that, you know, 6-figure mark. My coach was $500 an hour, and it was 2 hours a month minimum. So I was paying $1,000 a month to talk to this guy for, I think it was like 4 half-hour calls is what we did, right? Yeah. I paid $1,000 a month, got 4 half-hour calls per month, and I did that for 2 years. You know, but both of those 2 years, I made over $100,000.
Yeah, so
you heard it there first.
You know? Yep,
it's worth it. And don't be afraid. Like, okay, maybe it might not be it every time, and maybe like every once in a while you might not get any value out of it, but you will never know unless you try. And like, yeah, I've spent money that I didn't think there was a big ROI on it, but I have gotten such an ROI on every other time that it, you know, it makes up for it 10 times over again. So yeah, it might not be golden every single person you reach out to if you don't do your homework, but at least everybody I've dealt with, I've had, and I'd like to think everybody that's dealt with me has had a good ROI on their conversations as well.
Yeah,
so,
and not only that, but also the connections you make, right? Because I paid
exactly
$4,000 for a group coaching, a 60-day group coaching. I'm going to start getting hit up for all these coachings. I can already see it. People are going to be like, Matt will buy them. But
like, just get them drunk.
But I paid $4,000 for a 60-day training, which was like a call every 2 weeks, right, in a group session. And I didn't see a huge return out of it. Honestly, what we ended up finding out was this new setup that they helped me build didn't convert as well as my old setup. So I was kind of back to square one, right? But the connections I made in there, I mean, those have made me and will keep making me well over $4,000.
Sure. Yeah.
So just to let everybody know that's watching the live, we're going to go ahead and drop our Calendly links down below. And if you go ahead, book an appointment in the next hour, limited to 5 marketers, we're going to discount our $1,000 rate to $500 an hour. How's that?
Oh, but you're only getting.
I was like, "Where's Shane going with this?" I was like, "Where's Shane?" Yeah, that's a roulette. You don't know who you're going with.
That's right.
I was like, "Where's Shane going to this?" Because we did not discuss this beforehand, and I'm not about to give this away. Like, we didn't cover this before. It's unscripted.
Yeah. So, Ravi,
yes,
Ravi, speaking of giving stuff away, what don't you want to give away that you can after a few drinks now about your campaign for people that are watching? If you guys are watching, if you want to know some secrets, #secrets in the comments below. Let's see.
Guys, I don't know. I don't know.
Waiting.
Austin.
Name and number, baby.
Man.
Oh my
No,
god!
what are some secrets that you would normally guard that you might be willing to after a couple of drinks toss out there?
Oh man! Oh god! I'm a pretty guarded guy, even after a couple of drinks. You know what I mean? I don't want everybody coming over here. If Austin wasn't on this call, I'd do it, but I don't trust Austin. I'll be honest with you guys. I don't do anything too revolutionary. I really don't. I really don't do anything too insane. I think the biggest thing is the follow-up, and I'm not going to tell you how I do my follow-up, but I will say this. Never leave it to your real estate agent to do the follow-up. I will just that is going to be, and maybe that's not what you want. If you ask me something specifically, I'll tell you, but I'll just say this. Never leave it to your brokerage or your real estate agent to do the follow-up because they'll fuck it up. Take it for what you will, but do not leave it to them because I guarantee you're sending them 5 leads every single day. And on top of the 5 leads, they have all their other real estate bullshit business they do in addition to that. There's no way they're calling them back. The next day, there's no way they're following up with those leads from the day before. And so literally do not leave it to your real estate agent. But what do we do, Ravi? Well, just book a time to talk below. $500.
That's what you're doing. You're calling their leads, aren't you?
That's what I'm doing. That's why I'm charging them so much.
What about this? And you can tell me if this is fair game or not. What are you doing? How are you positioning it that you can charge $3,000 and $1,000 will go to ad spend or more or less or whatever it is? How are you positioning that? Because obviously, if you send somebody 300 leads, you hit the gold mine 1 month, and you're getting them for $1 a piece. I'm guessing you're probably not going to send them 1,000 leads.
Sure, yeah, you're sure going to do $1,000. Yeah. So, okay, I'll say a few things. Number one, in my proposal, I say I'll spend up to $1,000. That means that if I send them a $3,000 cash buyer within spending only $50, I have the right to. That's $9,000 commission. I have the right to advertise. You know what I mean? In my idea, I got what he wanted that month. You know what I mean? So. That's one of the things I do. But the way I position it is like I had and I already said it before, but I'll kind of cover it again. Think of every single thing you do from the moment someone hands you their credit card until the moment that the campaign is over, that you're done working with them. Think of everything you're doing. So you're putting number amounts over everything, just like the Russell Brunson style. So, strategy and support for speaking with you. You know what I mean? 24/7 strategy and support, texting, calling, email. That's one thing. You can say setting up the campaign, creating a website. Things like this, you guys just automatically assume is you do it. But if you think of okay, you got to figure out the targeting. You got to do I got to do my research on your targeting. I got to create a brand. You know what I mean? I got to create a brand around you. So I have to do sales pitch. I'll give you sales scripts. I'll give you sales training. I'm going to give you consulting on it as well. And every one of these is, valued at $3,000, $2,500, $1,900. You know what I mean? You keep it as a high number. And then this is no secret. Russell Brunson does the exact same thing. Every marketer worth his salt does the same thing. And, the total is going to be some crazy number, $30,000. But, you know what I mean? Because this is business, I know you don't have $30,000. I'm going to do it for $3,000 for you. So there's no secret behind that. It's really I'm breaking down every single thing that I'm doing, and I'm putting a number behind it, whether that's targeting, whether that's ad copy, whether that's ad placement, whether that's creating a landing page. You're breaking that down piece by piece in a proposal, and then you're sending it over to them like that. And so that way they're really seeing everything they're doing, because their Facebook ads to the typical client is clicking boost on a post and letting that run for $10. And they're like, well, why the fuck am I going to pay you $3,000 for that? So you have to tell them what everything you're doing. What happens after the lead comes in? What is that happens with that lead? What happens to that full name, email, phone number? Where does that go? How does that happen? What happens in 30 days from now? So I break it down like that. So in my eyes, I literally 2 weeks ago pitched a realtor with exactly what I just told you guys. And he was like, so which one of these things do I get for $2,900? And I was like, oh, no, you get every single one of those. He's like, are you serious? I was like, yeah. He's like, do you take checks? And I said, yes. And I closed it. So literally, like, he was so shocked because I had provided so much value of what I was doing that he thought that like he had to choose one of the things. And I was like, no, it's all bundled together in one package for you. And he's like, well, fuck yeah. So just break it down step by step. Literally, there's some great proposals out there. But break it down step by step of everything that you're doing and put a dollar amount behind it. Spend 1 hour, 2 hours doing it, and I promise you it'll be worth it in the end for you.
Absolutely. And you were talking about follow-up a little bit there. So for those of you guys who don't know, there's actually a company called My Outdesk. And this is where you can go hire your own virtual assistant, right? Now, this is not the cheapest place to do it, but you can get them pre-trained. So we actually were using one on my last team. They still use them. And I think he's around $11 an hour. So he's one of the more expensive ones, right? And My Outdesk, being an agency, is going to be more expensive than finding the VA yourself. But they're also trained. So, and when I say trained, I mean like 70 to 80% of the way. Because you can always make them quite a bit better. So anyways, he brings in, gosh, with that team, he's probably bringing in, I would say 8 to 12 closings on average a month from expireds, for sale by owners, and calling their leads, right? But it's an investment to get into. So it's just something.
But what's your other overhead though? As a Facebook ads agency owner, what's your overhead? You know what I mean? Right. We are almost like a 90% profit margin. If you're doing it right, you know what I mean? Especially if you're watching this and you don't have any clients, like when you sign $1,500, you're almost keeping all $1,500 of that. Save a few programs, but you split that up between 5 clients and it's nothing. So if it means that you need to spend $100, $200, $300 a month on follow-up so that these real estate clients are getting results and so that they're sticking with you, that $1,500 is going to turn into $10,000 when they stay with you for 6 months, 7 months. Mm-hmm. So, you know what I mean? I think that that's something that people, I don't want to spend that kind of money. Well, fuck, okay, then take the $1,500, fuck it up, don't make any money after that, and then you have to go scavenger out for another client. You know, I average like 6-7 months with my clients. So,
what's the typical
from the people that I have from the beginning? Say that again, I'm sorry?
What's the typical reason that they do fall off?
A few different things. You know, at some times, like maybe we didn't do a closing in 30 days. And like, you know, we had done it before, but we didn't do a closing in 30 days. And like, I don't want to do this anymore. The truth is, you should always keep your pipeline full because there's a million reasons why somebody could fall off. They could have a death in the family. Something could go wrong with their business. You know what I mean? Like, there's a million reasons why. You could be doing your job perfectly. You could be giving them $10,000 a month in closings, but like suddenly they have a hit, and the first thing to go, and a lot of times in businesses, is marketing. So a lot of the times they don't give me a reason, and I'm like, okay, that's fine with me because I have an exclusivity clause, and I've had 5 people asking me to work for them in the zip code, and as soon as you're going to say no, I have 2 other people lined up. Not as a cocky thing, but as like, okay, I understand, but I'm going to go to the competitors. And sometimes if you say that, they're like, you know what, we'll do this for 1 more month. You know what I mean? Because they're like, fuck, I don't want the guy down the road to have everything that I've been getting this whole time. So that's another kind of little secret nugget for you guys to kind of, maybe if someone's having that conversation with you, be like, no, I totally understand. That's fine with me. You know, and you know, the change brokerage down the road, he was literally just sending me a message yesterday. I said, I can't talk. I'm still with Matt's brokerage. Sorry. But I'm just going to be giving him a call after this. So let me know if you guys need anything else. Oh, wait. Actually, you know what? We'll do one more. I have a client that pays me to not work with anybody else in their area, too. I upcharge them to be the only one in their area. So
really?
Yeah, and real estate's really competitive, too.
Yes. Like and you can play them against each other.
Absolutely, especially in your pitch.
Once again, I hope none of my clients are in here.
Especially in your
but it's
pitch,
exclusivity.
Right? Like
in my pitch, I say in my pitch, exclusivity. That's a clause I have in there. I only work with a certain amount of realtors or brokerages per zip code or per market area. And that's a great way to do it. You know what I mean? I only work with 3 per area. So listen, you know what I mean? And I'll be honest with you. I only work with 3 per area in Miami. And I'll be honest with you, I'm not looking for any other realtors right now. So you sign up with me. I'm not going to be really looking for any other Miami realtors. If someone comes to me, that'll change. But I'm not actively seeking anyone out. They're like, oh, wow. So I'm going to get this proprietary software all by myself. And that's the way to do it. And they're afraid of giving away the secret sauce to somebody else. So you can leverage that. You should leverage that if you're in this game.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. And now, is Facebook ads, is that basically that is what you're doing for the most part? You're not doing any other forms of lead generation at the moment?
I am not. I've dabbled in Google AdWords, SEO, but I believe very much so in mastering one thing very, very well, like whether that's a niche or whether that's an actual service. So for me, it's like, everyone's like, oh, the ads are changing, the targeting's changing. I think that you should master one thing incredibly well. And so for me, that's Facebook advertising. Yes, I think that there's value in Google AdWords, LinkedIn, SEO, Zillow, whatever the hell else you want to say. But for me personally, yes, I do 100%. Every one of my clients is all Facebook ads.
Nice.
Cool. Yeah, if anybody has any questions for Ravi or the rest of us, go ahead, comment down below. Let us know if you want to know anything. I had a question, but now I can't remember. So it's like,
sorry, I talk a lot too.
Yeah, no, it's
No,
okay.
you
It's
don't.
okay. What are you seeing? I always like to compare conversion numbers with other marketers and anybody else that's doing this at scale. What kind of conversions are you seeing with your clients?
And I guess before we go there,
go ahead.
When we say conversions, what are you seeing as far as leads to appointments and appointments to closings, or even appointments to Mets to closings, depending on how much you tracked it?
Hey, man.
Yeah,
I know,
at some
right?
point I can't do it.
I just threw out way too many numbers for this many drinks.
I'm like, how many of them have blue shirts on? No, for me personally, I track appointments, and like I said, in real estate, a closing could be 6 months down the road, 5 months down the road. So there's no guarantee. For me personally, if I get a hot lead and it looks like it's going to be a 6 month closing process, I'll tell my phone to remind me in 6 months to check up on that closing because my client might not. But for me, what I see before I started implementing a few of the strategies that I paid a lot of money to get, once again, I was having about a 1% conversion rate, meaning 1% from lead to closing, actual closing, per month.
Yeah.
That being said, I have paid a lot of money and gotten a few other methods that I have been getting like 60, 70% appointment rates lately that have been really, really fantastic for my clients. I think for your
how
clients,
do you define an appointment? Is that an in-person meeting or a phone meeting?
Typically it's a phone meeting. I have an online calendar for my clients, and it's literally a booked online calendar. I had someone, we set them up 4 days ago, and they had 5 booked scheduled appointments within 4 days. And for clients, leads are great, but you know what's better than leads? Booked appointments. And when you can show them booked appointments, they value that even more. And then almost if people don't show up for that booked appointment for whatever reason, it almost falls on that person and not necessarily my marketing skills. So
and not only that, sorry to interrupt, but not only that, you've partially qualified that lead. Right.
Exactly.
So now you've collected information on that lead. So it's, one of the big things, so we do I do all the follow-up as well. And one of the things that I really like about it is that I never hear from my clients, and nobody ever says, these are just a bunch of shit leads. Like, I never get that from my clients because we've scrubbed them. And so by the time they get to the client, now I have gotten things like, okay, well, a lot of these leads aren't ready yet. Well, of course aren't, they're not ready. They're from Facebook. Like, let's nurture them, right? But I don't get anything like, okay, well, 20 of these have bad phone numbers or a bunch of fake accounts or anything like that. So the value in scrubbing that is huge because your client doesn't get frustrated, right?
You're right. And that was my problem, Shay, in the beginning, was that I didn't have a follow-up, and I was relying on the realtors, and they were bitching at me that these were not quality leads. And so now that I've taken that, I know that's everybody, every realtor, every marketer knows that. But now that I've taken that out of their hands, I'm only sending them people that I've spoken on the phone with, and they've said, I want this and this amount of time and this amount of money and this many bedrooms. And I do it that way. And so these booked appointments are with people that are telling me when they're looking to buy, what's their price range, how many bedrooms they're looking to do, what area of town they're looking to move in, that kind of stuff. So, yeah, it's qualified booked appointments. So, if I have 100 leads, I'll do probably – now that I'm doing it, it's like 50, 60% are booked appointments. And then how many show up to that? That is going to be a little less, obviously. And then how many actually close? That's going to be less than that. But it's not really fair to say a percentage right now because I just incorporated this new strategy not even 7 days ago. So I can't tell you. I haven't had any closings from it yet, but I have had a load of booked appointments from it. And it's been really fantastic.
Yeah,
and that's a huge step. Sorry, Matt. I mean, that's a big step to overcome as well, just to get to that point. And we see about like right now we're seeing about a 30% conversion from lead to booked appointment, but they're in office and list-in appointments. They're not phone appointments,
which is like the best.
Yeah.
If you can get someone face to face with somebody, that I will say you're the king, because that's I just like phone appointments.
Yeah, well, you can blame Matt for that, because he helped me a lot with the scripts. So
I know Matt told me that. I know Matt's the master of that.
Yeah. Matt was a huge help with getting our scripts down and just get more conversions. Like we went from 10%, and then I talked to Matt, and then honestly it was like night and day. The following day that we implemented the new scripts, we basically jumped up to about 30%. I mean, it's like we did.
My favorite part is that it was 10% on phone calls. The appointments were phone call appointments, and you went from 10% being phone call appointments to 30% being in-house or listing appointments.
Yeah, and it wasn't a huge, like, it's not a big change, right? I think it just kind of goes back to this idea of knowing how to handle internet leads. And that's that was the big thing, right? And Matt just knew how to do that. Worked his ninja magic.
And I'll pay, and I would pay, and Matt told me the same thing, and I'd pay Matt for that. You know what I mean? That is incredibly valuable. That is incredibly valuable. You know what I mean? So like, that's something that I was thinking of that yesterday. I was like, man, I should pay Matt to train my team.
See, and what we did is we actually, in order to figure all this out, we had a team of inside sales agents that was all across the board as far as how many there were. At one point, I actually had over 30 inside sales agents making calls. But on average, we maintained about 12 to 14. And we're dealing with over 2,000 leads a month, right? So on a slow month, we might have 1,500, 1,700 leads. On a big month, we might have 25, 2,600, right? And so it's crazy because at that volume, you drop a lot through the cracks, but you still learn a lot doing that. And so we were able to test so many different scripts to see what worked for getting people in-house, getting them to meet at a Starbucks even, or meet at the house that they wanted to see. And it's just, when you have that amount of testing to use, it's a big benefit. I lucked out. I was a little blessed.
Yeah, and that's better than a booked appointment online any day, any calendar, any day of the week. Like if your client is able to shake hands with people that you brought him that he didn't meet or she didn't meet before, you've done your job right. So that's incredibly valuable. I respect that very much.
So listen, guys, we have a couple questions here. Let me just go through them. You guys don't mind hanging on a second?
Every question, Austin's going to take a shot for every question.
Okay, sounds good. You ready, Austin?
Country bar shots, not these city bar shots. Country bar shots, which are like this.
So there's 11 questions.
Ooh.
Hope you're planning on doing anything tomorrow morning, Austin.
He's not gonna wake up till the next whiskey Thursday.
He's gonna sleep in the middle of it.
Okay, guys, if you want to see Austin take some shots, post some questions. Come on, guys. Let's get this.
It's a terrible partnership.
All right, first question. David asks, hey, Ravi, are most of your clients teams, brokerages, or do you also work with solo agents?
Most of my clients are brokerages, and yes, that's going to be a little easier for them to afford the price points I'm giving them, but I do not lower my price point for agents. So I had someone approach me, a single agent, quoted him, I can't afford that. I was like, sorry. 2 weeks later, he came back and said, hey, I convinced them. I didn't have to sell the other person. He convinced them. They're splitting the payment every single month, and I send the leads to both of them.
Very nice.
Yeah, cool.
Can we ask which CRM you're using to
sorry, Matt, can I just interrupt? So people are posting questions. Are you ready, Austin?
We've never seen this many questions.
What's your favorite kind of cake?
Kind of cake. I love that this is a question for me, not Rob. I don't know how that came up.
Make sure you're taking your shots.
Yeah.
All right, let's rapid fire this because I gotta rock and roll here in a minute, guys. So let's rapid fire this.
Sounds good.
No,
Yeah. So Bryn mentions. So you mentioned you pay for the ad spend. Oh my God, this is a long one. Hang on a second.
All right, let's rapid fire this because I gotta rock and roll.
You gotta fly. Okay. Well, listen. We'll maybe we'll just go ahead and comment on some of those here, Ravi. Listen,
I can answer a few of them.
Yeah, you sure? Okay.
Yeah, no. Give me. I know. I can answer a few of them. That's fine. I don't want to be rude to anybody that's been listening.
Of course
I've been
not.
this whole time.
That was the only one actually. I'm looking through right now. I thought I read a lot more.
Damn it, Austin. Austin got out. Easy.
Okay, so it says so.
Them in there.
Princess, you mentioned you pay for the ad spend from your Facebook ad account, but run the ads from their Facebook page. So are you setting them up with their own landing page account or yours? What platform are you using for landing pages?
Oh my God, that's a lot of questions. I have too much whiskey. I'm using my ad manager, their business page, and I guess I send them to my own website. So I use ClickFunnels.
Okay.
For my it was landing page software. I highly recommend it. It's the only thing I've ever used, and yeah, I guess $99 is a lot a month for some people that are just starting, but that'll pay for itself as soon as you get one client. Once again, it's like just the only overhead you have as a marketer.
So are you doing more landing pages than lead ads?
I split test them a lot of the times. Yeah. I've seen, in my personal experience, the quality. I track leads pretty damn closely as like the ads they're coming from, if they're qualified or not, the copy, the ad set, and whether they're coming from a lead form or a landing page. So I will split test them. And that's the other reason why I ask for so much money in an advertising spend budget, because in the beginning I'm saying, all right, maybe I'm getting a lot more leads in the lead form, but what you guys will notice, I've like called back some of these leads and they're like, I didn't opt in for this. I'm like, how the fuck do you think I got your information? So sometimes people like in the middle of the night in their sleep, it's so easy on Facebook to submit a lead form that sometimes people don't mean to do it, and you're paying for those. And while the theory behind it is that if they have to go to a website, click on the ad, go to the link, go to the website, fill in their information, click the submit button, it's a little more work and people want it a little bit more rather than just the easy ad lead form. It's already filled out, submit kind of thing. All native inside Facebook.
With the follow up, you might like lead ads a little bit better now that you've implemented your follow up.
Yes, you are correct. But I use Zapier for a lot of my stuff, and it's absolutely magic. And once again, I split test it, and arguably Facebook likes keeping stuff on Facebook, so people say that lowers the advertising cost as well, doing lead forms. And I've had great success for some of my clients with lead forms. Other ones, I've done ClickFunnels since day one, and we've had amazing success, and I'm just not going to change it.
Makes sense. And are you adding any additional questions in your lead forms typically, or are you just using the
I do, to be honest with you. I'm kind of the point right now where it is a numbers game, right? So like you do want to make sure you're getting a lot of numbers in, but if there's one or two questions you can throw in there to try to, what's your budget? Like, I don't know, something. Just think of ask your client what's a question that you would want to know as soon as this lead came in, and they'll give you it, and then use that. Some kind of buyer lead question, because what you want to do is separate the people that are trying to look at pretty pictures from the people that are actually maybe possibly home buying. And yes, it's not going to work every time. And yes, it's going to increase your ad costs. But, if you're paying for the follow-up and you want quality leads, like I personally, I don't know what everybody else does, but I do add at least one or two questions in there. And I know Austin like fucking crushes it with some long form leads, right, Austin, or am I crazy? What the hell? Why do I have to give everything away? Why is Austin going to sit quiet over there and never tell anybody anything?
Yeah, we
Austin,
didn't tell
give me your secrets.
Bro, we filled all of our glasses with apple juice. Like,
Take your secrets.
how many leads are you getting for your clients each month on average with $1,000 ad spend?
I shoot for around 70 to 100 is what I shoot for. That way, you know what I mean, I can get, and actually Shane was the one that told me. I asked Shane after I purchased that thing from him, what are you spending on ad spend? Because I was only doing $500 originally. Shane was like, you should try to get around 1,000 so that you can at least try to get one good lead out of that if it's a 1% closing. So I do $1,000 and try to get them as close to 100 leads. Sometimes it's luxury market stuff. When I'm selling a $2 million home, my leads will be $15, $20. So you know what I mean? It's going to be, I'm not going to be able to get that 100. But But, I just try to get as close as I can. I try to keep the cost as low as I can, try to get as many as I can in there. But sometimes, if it's a luxury home, it'll be a lot more expensive than a first-time home buyer.
Yeah, that makes sense. But a luxury home is going to provide the realtor with a lot more commission, which means they might retain a lot more.
Exactly. But then once again, it's a luxury home is like, these people aren't motivated buyers. It's a 3, 6, 8 months buying. It's their second home. It's a retirement home. They're not so motivated. You're not hitting on those pain points of renting. So it's a lot harder. And so it's a niche that I've fallen into and I've had good success with, but it's not easy. You really got to be able to, once again, pre-frame before they sign that deal, because there's nothing worse than not doing that and then just assuming they know that. And then the end of the first month, they're like, what the fuck? And if you can't go back to be like, well, if you remember in this contract, I literally say, you know what I mean? We're doing this for 3 months for a reason. So I cannot stress that enough.
And luxury homes typically sell at 2 to 3 times the days on market from an average median price home. So if your average median price home is $200,000 and they're selling for 40 days, you can expect your luxury homes are selling for at least 120 days, sometimes even more, right? It's going to take that long from when they go on the market to when they sell if they're priced correctly. So that's something that people forget all the time, right? And the other thing with luxury is you don't have the motivation like you do with somebody in a $200,000 house who's moving because of their job, right? You've got somebody with $1 million, $1.5 million house, like they might just say, you know what, we're just gonna hold on to it for another year, right? So those leads are harder to work, they're harder to convert. And the other thing with luxury, people forget that it's not always $1 million house. It's the top 25% of the market is what's considered luxury. So if you're in a market where your median price is $130,000, which is crazy in this market, but let's say that's the case, your luxury market might start at 600, right?
Yeah, exactly. So don't go in luxury. Yeah, don't go. First of all, don't go in there so you don't saturate my clients, my niche, but don't go. Luxury is, in all honesty, it is a hard market. You really got to be able to. I do not recommend it, even for realtors. Everyone's like, yeah, it's the same work if I try to sell a $90,000 home as a $5 million home. Why not just well, that's because you're only going to sell a $5 million home once every 2 years. And yeah, you'll eat when you get it, but you're going to be starving for 2 years.
And as an agent, like when you get involved with houses in those price ranges, lawyers get involved and they slow down the entire process. Okay, like it's a completely different game. Honestly, my favorite price point is that $200 to $350 range because I
couldn't agree more.
Constantly. Right,
and it's a good enough profit margin from what you're charging them that they're happy. You know what I mean? If you can get a closing from that, you get 3 times, 4 times what you're charging. So they're happy from that. And it's just a lot. I do not recommend luxury. It's difficult, but they have deeper pockets. You make more money. Take it as you is. But if you're starting, do first-time home buyers or that medium price point, whatever it is, you'll be happier.
Yep, and it's easier to provide consistent results.
Cool, guys. Listen, let's wrap this up. Ravi, thank you so much, man, for popping on here for an hour and almost a half here. Any last words of wisdom before we let you go to either anybody out there that's doing real estate marketing on Facebook, or even agents that are trying to generate leads on Facebook?
Yes, 100%. I think that while generating results is obviously very important, do not undervalue what the power of sales training can do for yourself and for your clients. I think that was the biggest thing. There's enough YouTube videos I can tell you what to do, like for a realtor once you get them signed. But in order to have a business and grow it, you need to learn how to do sales. So whether that's reading books, whether that's watching videos, whether that's just going out there and meeting people, I think that investing in sales training and asking people who are actually doing it well what you're doing for sales, I think that's the difference between the people that are making $1,000 a month doing this and the people that are making $30,000 a month doing that. So one of my favorite quotes by John Loger is literally, I'm not an advertising agency. I am a sales agency that does advertising. So just keep that in mind.
Love it. Ravi, that's great, man. Again, thanks so much for joining us tonight on Whiskey Thursday. There you go. Awesome, guys. Cheers to everybody. Thanks to everybody for watching today. Really, really appreciate it. What's that? Awesome.
What's up?
I had time to polish it off.
Really cool. Dude, I watched you polished one off earlier, and it was hilarious. You got like half a glass of whiskey, and he's just like, look.
Cheers,
Thank you guys for
Thanks
having
a
me,
lot.
man. This was
Okay.
awesome.
What's up, man?
Good stuff. A lot of fun. Okay.
Take care, guys.
Take it easy, guys. Hang on.
Hang on.
I did not end that.